During the active phase of Operation Sindoor, the armed forces got an opportunity to validate many of the concepts and usage of different types of technologies. Many of these concepts aided in India's performance in this conflict. Here's the Chief of Defence Staff, General Anil Chauhan, on the usage and integration of these force multipliers.
Because a number of things are converging together to revolutionize warfare. So because it's a convergence of data-centric warfare, celerity, and remote-centric warfare. It's a convergence of kinetic and non-kinetic, including cognitive, into one domain. It's a convergence of first revolution military affairs with second and third. So we're not fighting only war which is in the third revolution, but there's a warfare which is maneuver warfare and net-centric also taking place at the same time. It's a convergence of tactics, operational art, and strategy, because of the extreme non-linearity I've spoken about. So at all type of elements, this is being done, elements is being fought. So it's going to converge old and new domains of warfare. When I say new domains in cyber, space, electromagnetic spectrum, cognitive with old domains, like land, sea, and maritime domain. It's going to converge time and space, both of them. So these are the kind of changes which may foresee in the future. And along with it, so what did we see? Did we see elements of this or green shoots of this in Operation Sindoor? Yes, and to us, I would say that this was the kind of first non-contact warfare which we fought. We didn't see each other. We saw it either at radars or at different ranges, except for what was happening on the line of control. And it was a mix of kinetic and non-kinetic. When I say non-kinetic, that happened in the information domain, that happened in the cyber domain, and of course there was a kinetic operation where destruction was being caused to each other. It was also non-linear in nature. So there's something happening on the line of control and something happening as far back as Noor Khan or Sargodha. So at huge distances from the border, simultaneously, non-linearity. It was networked, means at least the defensive part of it. You must have read about it, that we had networked our air defense architecture of the Air Force and the Army and the maritime air defense architecture, Trigun, Akash Tir and IACCS into, so that they could give one comprehensive kind of a picture. So you can provide a layered kind of advantage. So better information, faster information available to our side. We had also tried to kind of network our counter US system, which were countering drones. Not so much, but some kind of in this 7, 10, 15 days, we were able to do that. So that I think, it was also multi-domain. The first time means we were using warfare was in maritime, land, air, cyber, space, electromagnetic spectrum. Means all this electronic warfare battalions which are deployed, which are said with counter US systems, they're able to negate that kind of a threat which are coming in from Pakistan. So this was happening there. And some green shoots of even an intelligent kind of warfare. So how AI can be used to do some kind of a predictive analysis. So this was happening, and last but not the least of combat, I said there's the fourth element. The fourth element I talked was about tactics and strategy, how that's getting affected. That's about, I have spoken about in parts. That's about demassification of the battlefield. And yet integration of capabilities of diverse nature. It's leading to ultimate non-linearity and defenses in depth. I've spoken about vulnerability of large platforms and static establishments, and I've talked about importance of deception over surprise. So these are the kind of changes which we'll have to live with in future.
India's top general also spoke about how kinetic operations will be fought in the future.
Unmanned systems, autonomous systems, along with, now you have manned and unmanned only. You'll have one manned aircraft with operating 2 or 3 unmanned aircrafts along with it. One manned tank with 2, 3 unmanned kind of one, operating in a collaborative kind of an environment. So you also will have exoskeleton system that enhance human performance today. So you can lift up 1 ton of weight because you're having an exoskeletal system. You can run faster than any other human being. So tomorrow you'll have systems like this. So this is going to increase efficiency and reduce human risk during warfare. And hence, there'll be a propensity to use force because that human element of warfare, that gets reduced. So what's going to happen is, in recorded history, always there was combat between always two human beings. That's what has happened. So there could be, you could be better armed. You could be with a sword, I could be with a lance. You could be with a helmet, I could be with a shield. You could be on a charger, I could be on an elephant. But essentially, the war was between two human beings. But today we are at a cusp when war could be between human beings and machines. And tomorrow, it could be between machines and machines. And machines that are autonomous, intelligent, and take decisions.
General Chauhan also spoke about how decision superiority will help India fight more effectively and how such systems are currently making inroads in the army.
Is data-centric warfare. That is because of a large amount of advances in technologies, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, large language models, edge computing, etc. So this is going to large amount of data and their data analytics. So what we're going to happen is, when we said, in the second generation warfare, there was net-centric warfare, in which we relied on information superiority over the enemy. Today, you're relying on decision superiority. So in a war engagement, if there were 10 decisions to be taken for application of force one after the other, in each and every engagement or decision of mine, I'll be better than yours, because this is based on better and better data and decisions. So hence, I'll beat every cycle of decision from the adversary. So this would lead to digitization of the battlefield and intelligentization of the battlefield in some manner. And this is going to affect the other three elements which I said earlier. Sensors, so that the data from that can be analyzed. Robotics, so that automated kind of a kill chains can be produced. Celerity, speed, because unless things are networked, you'll not be able to pick up things faster. So this is going to produce another kind of a revolution in warfare, which I said will lead to cognitive or decision superiority. So something similar. Green shoots of that were visible in Operation Sindoor.
India's top military man also underscored the no place to hide message to Pakistan, something that his forces have already demonstrated.
We also saw the expansion of battle space on the traditional domains. So initially you could see war and warfare, contact warfare, within 5 or 10 kilometers. Today we expanded that battle space phenomenally. When we see the whole length and breadth of Pakistan could be under coverage of India's weapon systems, not for any other ranges, but very, very deliberate precision strikes. Some strikes could be as narrow as 2 meters or 3 meters square, or meter square, at ranges greater than, say, 300 kilometers. That's what has been demonstrated.
The conflict also played out in other spheres as well.
Combat zone, this has expanded phenomenally. What we see that not only we have land, air, traditional domains and the maritime, but we also now have space, cyber, electromagnetic domain. Because a lot of activities took place actually between both of us over 4 days on the electromagnetic domain. Activities also took place in cyber domain. We also had a lot of activities in the domain of perception management, information war, or maybe you can call it cognitive warfare, in which the mindscape, shaping the mind of the people, is more important than the landscape, what happens on land.
The operation also called out Pakistan's nuclear bluff and opened space for more military options for India under the atomic overhang.
We have drawn out new lines for military operations against terror. Sometimes I feel this particular policy also got accentuated after Pakistan acquired nuclear weapons, and they tried to exploit this stability-instability paradox. That's nuclear weapons will provide stability, strategic stability between the two nations, and below that, this terrorism can contain. But of course, what India has done now is there are now 2 red lines. Between these 2 red lines is opened up the space for conventional operations. So that's a major change which has happened after Op Sindoor.
This is how Pakistan was forced to call for a truce.
They have escalated this conflict, which we had actually hit only terrorist targets, but also into the military domain. From their perspective, it would have been rational in the sense they would have said that you used military means to hit these targets. But it was also rational on their part, operation which they thought they'll continue for 48 hours, folded up in about 8 hours. and on 10th, when they picked up the telephone and said they wanted to talk. And I think that the rationale behind this the realization coming in, stem from two facts. That one is they must have assumed that if they continued this mode, they're likely to lose much more. So hence they picked up the telephone. And second thing, since they had stuck us at multiple fronts, they still did not have the benefit of understanding what they had stuck. So they must have thought they must have stuck, and hence there's time to talk now. And if they don't, they'll tend to lose bow. So these were the two factors which would have made them to take, but it's only after say 1 or 2 days they would have realized that all their kind of attacks which they had launched against us had not fortified, and they had all kind of failed.
And so, this is how the Indian Armed Forces made Pakistan fold during Operation Sindoor.